All right. So welcome everybody. This is our animation panel, part of the Latino Comics Expo's worldwide event and also sponsored by MOLA. We have here animators from all over the US as well as the world. And I would love to introduce each one of them or have them introduce themselves, that is, and just kind of give us a little rundown as to who they are, where they are, and what's the name of their animation. You'll be able to watch the cartoons online at the MOLA website. Okay, so let's start with Alex.
Hello.
Hey. So just give us a little rundown. Your name, where are you, and what's the name of the cartoon?
Okay, my name is Alex Gunderson, and I live in Long Beach. I actually live about a 5-minute walk from MOLA.
Oh, wow.
And I worked on Candy Briones' creation, The Good, the Bad, and the Bunny.
Oh, wonderful. Actually, Candy, why don't you unmute yourself? That way, since you guys are a duo, we worked together on this.
Oh, okay, hi. I'm Candy Briones. I live in the United States, Los Angeles. Not sure exactly near Boyle Heights, East LA. And yeah, I created the good, the bad, and the bunny, and Alex helped me animate it, and he did the music for it too.
Wonderful. Okay, so let's see who else. Let's go with Camilo.
Hello, I am Camilo. I live in Mexico City, and I created the animations Donají and the Magical Poncho and Cacalotl.
Wonderful. Okay, how about Carlos?
Hi, my name is Carlos Luis Sanchez. I'm from Venezuela. I live in a small town called Carora, and I created Buscando el Buco, it was a musical video for a band called Los Candeleros.
Wonderful. And then Luis?
Hello, I'm Louise Fogarty, and I live in the United Kingdom, just north of London, and I created Leyenda del Quinto Sol.
Wonderful. Antonio?
Hey everyone. Sure, my name is Antonio Villamandos. I'm currently living in San Antonio, which is located in Chile. And I made the short Dogs of the Planet, or Perros del Planeta in Spanish. And that's it.
Wonderful. Awesome. And John?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm John J. Leaños. I'm calling in from smoky San Francisco. Califas on Fire, and I created the work DNN, Dead News Network.
Wonderful. And then Oscar?
Hi everybody. I'm Oscar Garza from Brownsville and Austin, Texas. Co-creator of 5 Minutes Comics, and I'm a 20-year pro of animation. And I created the short Como Luchar / How to Wrestle.
Awesome. And the last, Brian.
Hello, my name is Brian Viera. I am from Colombia, and I am living in Panama and studying animation. I create the short film Mentes Egoístas.
Wonderful. Awesome. Thank you guys for being able to be here so we can get a little more insight into your creative processes. And we're going to start off with the first question. First question is, what inspired you to get into animation? Let's start with Alex and Candy.
Well, for me, I guess, honestly, it's just I've always liked to tell stories. And animation is a way to do it without, needing any actors. I have my computer with Photoshop and After Effects, and I've always loved to draw. I always loved cartoons. I guess it just made sense.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. And how about Camilo?
Well, ever since I was little, I watched anime, Japanese anime, which is probably what actually got me interested into animation. But I also pretty much like I guess most people wanted just to tell stories. And at first I did a comic when I was a little kid, but when I was 10 years old around, I got the opportunity to learn how to animate in Flash. And ever since I've been doing animation, first learning by myself, and then I went to Vancouver Film School. And I just think of it as a medium to express or to tell these stories I've been wanting to tell since I was very little.
Wonderful, awesome. And Carlos?
Well, I am a painter. I started as a painter, but then I decided to make comics, and then I decided to make music videos, music. First music with my guitar. I composed songs, and then I decided to make music videos for these songs. And I really wanted to take what I paint into other forms of art. That's why I decided to animate my drawings.
Wonderful, awesome. Oh, and Luis?
Yeah, like others, ever since I was really little, I've always loved drawing and telling stories, and I've always been absolutely in love with cartoons and sort of like comedy writing, and it didn't really occur to me that I could do all of those things in animation. And it just sort of like, there was this moment where it hit me that like, oh, this is the perfect job. Like, this is what I'm meant to do. So.
Wow, yeah, that's true. Sometimes it just hits you, right? You end up
Yeah, it was just like perfect. This is my career.
And Antonio?
Sure. Well, I grew up consuming a lot of animation and cartoons, and especially on the 90s, which was a great time for Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon. And with all of those shows, really inspired me to begin making my own comics. I began making a really basic comics, which was like my interpretation of Rocko's Modern Life, which kind of like a lot of those cartoons inspired me as a kid. But I didn't take it so seriously as a real alternative until I was a teenager and became more familiar with Newgrounds and Flash, and that's when I got to discover that, I don't know, this kid with, I don't know, 13 years old is doing some good looking animation somewhere, and I'm like, all right, I guess I can try that too. And that's when I got a graphic tablet and began giving it a shot, and I became hooked. I haven't stopped ever since.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Flash animation, I feel, has opened the gates to so many independent animators. Before, it was such a locked-in thing where if you didn't have like tons of cell paper and, you know, one of those massive cameras, you were basically, you know, reduced to flip books. Whereas I feel like Flash and digital animation in general has really opened the gates to like allowing, you know, people from all over the world to be able to, you know, do their own creative things. So that's awesome. Glad to hear that. John.
Oh yes, I grew up, watching cartoons. Schoolhouse Rocks, especially, I was obsessed with that for a while. But really, I got into animation because I was interested in communicating kind of unpopular political ideas to a broader audience, and using animation and song as a buffer. And so I've created several kind of musical animations that have kind of tried to insert different kind of political, social ideas into to different audiences,
Awesome. Wonderful. And then Candy, I know that you work with Alex in order to make your animations, but at the same time, you're still an artist yourself. You do comics. So I just want to know, like, basically what inspired you to make your comic into an animation?
Well, I started I wanted to be in the beginning, I wanted to pursue a career in animation. So a lot of cartoons and anime is what inspired me to start drawing cartoons and writing my own stories. And then as time went by, I got more into the stories and making my own comics. I do sometimes some freelance stuff on the side, but I don't animate like professionally.
And Oscar?
Well, growing up, I always wanted to be a storyteller in some form. And the drawing and animation when I was a kid, I was really super shy, like super introverted. So the thought of being able to do something by yourself in your room for a long period of time and then having something to show for it really appealed to me. So I just always got into animation pretty early just for something to do by myself.
Yeah, that's something to bring up, is that, you know, you guys have to have a real passion for doing animation, because animation takes so much work. For people who don't know, you know, 24 frames a second, you're drawing, you know, at least 24 drawings if you're drawing on ones, you know, just for 1 second of film. So to make the creation, the, you know, the illusion of life, it's true. You got to put so much passion and work into these to make them come to life. And Brian?
I doing animation because I love cinema in general, and one of my
Like, what inspired it though? What made you like kind of want to say, I don't want to paint, I don't want to sculpt, I want to animate, I want to do cartoons?
I like animation because when I see things like the sakuga of animes, I feel excited because animation is amazing because our drawings and drawings. I love to draw.
Yeah, you gotta love to draw. That's so true, because you're drawing a lot. Okay, well, wonderful. Let's see. Let's go to the next question then. Second question is, why did you make the animation you made? Each one of you made such different animations, and I'd love to hear the story as to why it was you pursued to make that particular cartoon you did. So let's start with Alex.
Well, I'll answer along with Candy, because for me it was, for this particular one, it was Candy's characters and her story. I just wanted to see them move, and I knew I could help out. So together we kind of developed the shots and, you know, what they would look like, and that's basically it. It was the characters.
Yeah, and let's combine it with Candy. So Candy, like, yeah, why did you make the cartoon that you did?
So originally the comic was gonna be a game, so I wanted to make a little trailer for it. And Alex was like, he had seen some of the stuff I had done, and he's like, I think he's the one that suggested he would animate it. And I was like, really? So yeah, we started working on it together. I did most of the drawings, and he's the one that put it together and made the music and stuff, and animated the whole thing. Yeah.
So let's go to Camilo. So why did you make the animations that you did? So
yeah, well, the first animation, Donahia and the Magical Poncho, it was an old story I had written for school, actually. And I liked the character, and I thought that it needed to be made into animation. At first, I chose to revisit this story for a contest on an interactive book, but I didn't win the contest. But I still had the animated material. So I said, okay, I'm going to make it into a fully animated short. And that's pretty much how that animation came out. And also I decided it was time to make it because I was already planning to do a webcomic, which involved this character, Donahi, and another character I did for another animation whose name is Itzkakalot. And both characters would meet and would have adventures in this webcomic. So I thought that before releasing this webcomic, it was important for me to do the animated version of Donahue and let people know the character. As for the other animation I did, Cacalotl, that was my final project for school. I didn't really, in college, I didn't really study animation. I studied visual arts, but I still wanted my final project to be linked to animation since I felt that was my main form of expression. So Cacalotl is, well, the project, it was to create a fictional archetype, or rather to show all the symbols and my own construction of this fictional archetype, which is the crow, and which is present in many of my stories. Everything I do is connected in a same universe. So all these stories are part of the same microcosm, and something they have in common is the appearance of this crow archetype. So this animation was pretty much just to define what, or to show what defined this crow archetype.
Wonderful. So it coincides with your comic books.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, and Luis.
Yeah, so it was my grad film. And now I've always been like really interested in history and mythology and like, different cultures around the world. And I became very, very interested in Aztec mythology. And so I'd been making these little silly Aztec god comics called What's New Under Tonatiuh. And I really wanted to make this Aztec myth, this Aztec creation myth of the legend of the fifth sun. And so, yeah, I made it because of that. And in Europe, we always have like lots of content, lots of animation, everything available like regarding our mythology. And there really isn't that much in about Mesoamerican mythology. And I thought like, I really, really want to make this cartoon, make something fun that hopefully would also inspire like others to like, take an interest in their own mythology. And yeah.
Yeah, and I think I remember in a previous interview or story, you had said that because you made this cartoon in Spanish in the UK,
yeah,
it had a lot of contesting. It wasn't.
Oh, I had so much backlash because this was obviously a very, very different kind of story to what like people in the UK would expect.
Yeah, you kept.
And I wanted to make it really faithful, and I also felt like it would be way more respectful if I did it in Spanish, because like it would just be really strange in English, seen as like this is something for Mexicans, this is something for like, yeah. So and because it had subtitles, I kept being told like, why aren't you doing this in English? Why aren't you doing this in English? But I know my audience, yeah. And I just kept saying like, why can't you just read the subtitles? This isn't for you specifically. This is, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, wonderful. Well, so Antonio, so why did you make the cartoon that you did?
Sure. Well, Perros del Planeta is kind of it's a strange kind of short because it's just between a short film and video clip, music video clips. So it's a strange product, and it began because I constantly like to participate in online events like animation challenges, and I was a regular of the Loop the Loop challenge, which is pretty much they throw a theme and people animate a little loop in that theme. And the theme was dogs a while ago, and it was pretty basic. So the thing is, I began drawing dogs, and I began making a lot of weird designs like dogs doing human work to some extent. Or mutant dogs, and I had this big collection of dogs, which I thought I could do something with this, but I wasn't sure what. And I had the idea of talking to my pal Moralo Gonzalez, which is a friend who has made music for a lot of my projects before. And he's also sings in a band, so he can do a lot of things in terms of music. So we had this idea of making a collaboration where I will make this. He will make a song which will tie in a lot of these weird dogs, turning it into a weird society of where dogs still live in the planet, but even if we don't see humans in the short. So
yeah, I remember. So, yeah, because I thought it was so cool how there were all these dogs just taking over the whole planet, but the way that you made it so lighthearted, like, you know, it's very energetic and happy, but you're like, oh, I think all the people died. Like, it looks like there's no one here left except for dogs, and I just thought it was very interesting, like the way that you always put in like your own hand. It, you know, like you can tell your style just based on the dogs that you drew in there. So yeah, it was really cool. So very lighthearted. And yeah, I forgot about loop-de-loops. Yeah, loop-de-loops. So that's kind of where it started from. All right.
And, yeah.
Good, thank you. Okay, John.
Oh, yes, I created DNN as part of a series of Days of the Dead, Días de los Muertos animations back from 2005, 2007, way before Coco ever happened. Pero it was a series that we kind of took Jose Guadalupe Posada's Days of the Dead perspective of critique, parody, and social commentary, and having the dead, kind of imagining the dead. It's kind of a speculative piece, imagining the dead laughing and at the living and doing a news report. And so DNN was created in 2007, then updated in 2018, I believe. So just to kind of fine tune the politics of it. And so as a kind of a speculative piece of you know, the news from the dead, of course, parodying CNN, we use humor, incisive kind of critique, and looking at you know, what would the dead say if they were broadcasting a news program about our world.
Yeah, and it's absolutely funny. I love the just all those calacas, like, you know, kind of wandering around, and they have, it's kind of interesting because a lot of the content in it is, even though it may have been a few years back, is still so potent in terms of our like political climate right now. But still funny, has a really good satire to it. All right, and then we have Candy. You already talked, right? I'm forgetting. Okay, awesome. Oscar, next.
Well, the impetus behind my work of art, you know, what stroked the fires of my imagination was I got an email from Javier and Ricardo saying, "Hey, you like cartoons? Can you make us a cartoon for our short film thing next month?" And I said, "Sure." That's literally what happened. It was in a month. And I let the animation tell the story, because there wasn't a story. I immediately go to wrestling because I love wrestling. So I said, what's the easiest thing I can do? On my lunch break every day, I'm just going to animate a wrestling move. I'm going to chop it down to the lowest frame rate possible. And so I just did a bunch of wrestling moves. So the story was the moves. It's all one-sided. That made it easier for me. So then that led the story in that direction. Well, if it's all one-sided, then there's one dude getting his ass kicked the whole time. So then if this is supposed to be funny, then I got to draw it funny. And by then the punchline was just there. The punchline to the story wrote itself. And that's it. I filled a nice little void in the film festival a couple years ago, and I got to do some funny 2D animation.
It does feel though that, like, based on the style of the animation, it felt like it could live in your comic book.
Oh yeah, I got about maybe 2 styles, and they're both the same. One is using a clean pen, and the other is using a dirty pen. That's about it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. What it ended up being is something super like binary, super simple. Just ABC, here's the joke. And to me, once it was done, I took a look at it and it felt like those old Plimpton shorts from like the 80s and 90s. Not to toot my own horn, but it made me laugh. And it was so choppy. It reminded me of the Plimpton stuff, which it turned like, and that's the stuff I used to watch as a kid. So whether I was trying or not, I wasn't trying, but it was subconscious. The things that you're into as a kid, like they feel you and they're in your head, and it goes into your art.
There's also luchadors in your comic too. So.
Absolutely, it's hard to not put a mask on somebody, you know.
Awesome. And Brian.
Hello. I made Mentes Egoístas because the last year I met a rock band named Meteora. And we talk a lot in Instagram about Argentinian rock, about my art because I am an illustrator. And later we meet at a event that combine visual art and music. And I were invited as an illustrator. I decided to speak in my short named Mentes Egoístas about this topic because I like the science fiction, the anime, and the futuristic dystopian.
Characters, though, those are your own characters, right?
Yes.
They're from another.
I create like a universe for this short in a future dystopic, like the Incal or comics like that.
Exactly. Wonderful. And then Carlos, we have.
Hi. Well, I made this video, Buscando el Buku, because the band wanted me to make it, and they gave me a lot of creative freedom. So I thought, I'm gonna make a music video, where I can combine all the things I do. So the music video has theater, it has these paper masks I made.
Yeah.
And it has painting, it has animation, it has photography, and it was very hard to make because at that time my country, Venezuela, was having some very difficult problems. It still have difficult problems, but then it was worse. But I didn't want it to show any of that on the video. I just wanted to make something fun because the band has some very fun music. They make cumbia, progressive cumbia rock, and I was very interested in make something playful, and I didn't have a script. I didn't wrote a script. I just heard the music and I said, I'm gonna make like a Diablo de Yare, which is a typical demon from Venezuelan culture, smoking weed, and I made him smoking weed. And then I thought, what could be next? I'm gonna make crocodiles, and it was just very fun, but it took me like 3 months, and it was very difficult because the electricity was cut sometimes, and there was like a week without electricity in almost the whole country, and we had to make the mask using, we had to, I don't know, we had to put oil in something and burn it, and we had electricity, and there was a smoke. It was very crazy. My partner helped me a lot. My partner, Anthony, helped me a lot. He's there watching movies. Horrible, but well, and a lot of friends helped me. They just helped me for free. They wear the mask, and I took thousands of photos. It was a lot of photographs. I had to take photos because I didn't have, I didn't have to record, and I use this camera, which is very old. Well, I speak a lot.
It's actually good to mention that your animation is technically a bunch of pictures, like pictures after pictures after pictures of you moving around in live action, so to speak. But it's not a recording. It's literally an animation because you are running around with your masks and there's drawings that are being animated in the video. But at the same time, yeah, there's like so many photographs being taken sequentially to make an animation.
Yeah, it was like 3,000 photographs, I don't know, maybe more. And I edited them, not everyone, but I took like many and I edited them individually. So they look brighter and more colorful.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, you can see, for our viewers, everybody has these different techniques, different stories to tell, but you can see there's just so much different, processes that are involved in this, and stories to be told. And I just love it. I love all you guys. They're just, so amazing. Okay, well, let me get to the third question. So what are some tips that you found in your process for any aspiring animators? If this wasn't inspiring enough, just to see like how you guys do, what you're doing. But let's go person to person and just find out if you have any tips or tricks for how you do your animations, something that kind of makes it not easier, but maybe like kind of helps along the way. Because as it is, we know it's a very long process, takes a lot of time. Alex.
I guess maybe like if you're starting out and have trouble with the timing or something, it helps to animate to music. It kind of gives you a feel for what you're gonna do. Other than that, like watch YouTube to learn what to do. Just have a project, and when you come to a question of something you want to do, look it up on YouTube, and then you know it, and then you do it in your project, and just keep on going, and then move on to the next one.
Awesome. How about you, Camilo?
Well, for me, I think something that helped me finish those projects that I usually just leave without finishing is making lists. I think checklists that in which you annotate different little goals that you go accomplishing and just filling the blanks. For me, it feels good filling those checks. So it helps me just keep progressing into the project. And also, since I've always worked alone, I think I would totally recommend people to get somebody to help them. Teamwork is great to do more than just one project that is just gonna take you years to do alone. And it's so rich to get insight on your projects. So if it's possible, I would say teamwork is always a great choice.
Definitely, that is so true. And it seems like, even amongst everybody here, I mean, there was probably people helping with music or helping with, the designs or the animations to just kind of make everything come together. So that's a really good piece of advice. How about you, Luis?
Yeah, I think in terms of animation techniques and things, I found that studying live action footage in slow motion and looking at how the frames go gives you a really good idea for timings and like the way things move, because quite often if you're moving, it isn't in a linear sort of path, like some parts are faster than others, and you just get a good idea for that. In terms of the entire process, so if you have like a big project, it can be so overwhelming and you see all this animation that you need to do, but break it down and sort of focus on little parts and just focus on that part, and soon it'll sort of build up and then you don't overwhelm yourself. And again, make friends, because for my film, I had quite a few people who helped me. I had like a background artist, I had some great who did the music. I had this big vision of what I wanted exactly, and because I had contacts with other artists who who create works from Mesoamerica. I found, for example, the one who did my music, Arkanoth. He does this sort of ambience, dark pre-Hispanic music, and he uses actual indigenous instruments in there. So that I was like, oh, so I contacted him, and yeah, he was all on board. And so yeah, definitely find people who are going to be passionate, because then they'll help you out, and you can create something great together.
Wonderful. Wow, that's really good advice. How about you, Antonio?
Sure. Well, a couple of things. First, on a more creative aspect, I think one thing I've always found to work well for me is to always be open to experiment a bit with each new project. That's why I do a lot of these internet challenges like Loop the Loop, or the 11-second challenge, or a lot of other things, game jams eventually, which kind of events that just force you to do something on a given thing, because that allows you to work a bit out of your comfort zone. Maybe for this next project, I'm gonna work with music, which was the case with Perros del Planeta, or when I'm gonna try a traditional technique, or a different kind of story, etc. So that's on the creative side, and also I have to highlight also the aspect of collaboration, which was huge on Perros del Planeta, because I worked side by side with Moralo, who made the music, and the whole short is based on his song, and we were always all the time talking about, since he wrote the song, we were talking about, all right, which dogs rhymes well here, or which dogs makes more sense here. And he also, since the dogs play instruments and these are four-legged dogs, he'll help me out to see, all right, how will these two dogs try to play the guitar? So things like that, which are super tiny details, but to me add a lot of charm to the product. So yeah, collaboration, experimentation, and lastly, the thing of the idea of making lists, and then it's not the word we all want to hear, but being disciplined is super important to be consistent. Try to advance a little every day or every week. Try to be consistent, because the whole point is to finish your projects after all.
That's very true. Yeah, you got to have the discipline. If you don't, it's always going to just be a half-done thing, like where, you got to keep, sometimes there's days where you'll just like look at it and you're like, oh, but you got to do it. You just got to look at it and you got to keep at it, especially if you want to finish it. But that's a good advice too, experimentation. I think a lot of animators, sometimes they do get like stuck on like, only one kind of method. But it is true. It's actually nice to kind of break it up and create new things. I mean, animation is not restricted to any kind of form. You can go so organic with it. You can get realistic with it. It has so many mediums. So it's always good that, yeah, true. And when you're starting, look, be experimentative in certain terms. Yeah. How about you, John?
Oh, those are all great tips, you all. Great advice for folks. Yeah, I mean, I tend to teach. I teach animation at UC Santa Cruz, and so I see students trying to kind of avoid animatics a lot of the times, which are storyboards, moving storyboards, and I think they're really useful. So please do your animatic, because if you do have it, it just helps so much to have like a time-based storyboard. I think all of that is really great. Experimentation. From your script to your storyboard, to your assets, to your animatic, to all of that building, to your rigging and animating and coloring. Animation is it's definitely a full-time gig. Somebody said dedication, or persistence is really important as well. I mean, it's also, lazy animators are not animators basically. So because they never finish anything. So it's really important to kind of follow through, but at the same time, be careful what you get into or you ask for. Be careful what you ask for, basically. And because if you want to get into animation, it takes, yeah, just a lot of time, hours, hundreds and hundreds of hours. It seems, you know, a 5-minute piece can seem epic in your little world, and as you collaborate and work on pieces. So yeah, just keep to it, and I'm hoping that you all kind of can continue the work for sure.
Awesome, wonderful, thank you. How about Candy? Tips and tricks, probably for, I would say, your drawing process.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was feeling a little bad because I hardly animate. I was like, oh no. So I guess my tip is stay inspired all the time. Always look at other people's work that inspire you and to keep you motivated and stuff. That's what I do. That's my tip.
Wonderful. Oscar, how about you? Tips and tricks for aspiring animators.
I'll go on, add to what John said. Animatics and layouts. Have your short done before it's done, basically, so you know what you're doing and you'll have the timing down and all that stuff. Reference. Use a ton of reference, but don't trace. Then you'll get in trouble. And for someone who's been doing it as long as I have, these are very important, and this will help you even if you're young. Get a really comfortable chair. Spend the money. Spend the money. Spend the money. Get a comfy chair. Drink lots of water.
Such practical things that you don't think about, like a really comfy chair. It's so true. When you're sitting there for hours, you just become this like Quasimodo, you know, like after so many hours of just, you know, drawing and drawing. All right, how about Brian?
I think it's very important. Love the process. Have a mental gallery. Watch a lot of movies, animation, and show it to friends because that creates a responsibility to finish it.
That's very good. That's very good advice. It's true. Sometimes we become so ingrained in what we think is just right, we don't show it to others, and then others can actually kind of pinpoint things that might need some help. Like maybe the story didn't like get fully understood or something. You know, you're like, I got it, but maybe by viewers, it may not have that route. So it's always good to actually show it to other people. Also keeps you motivated. Yeah, it's very true. And Carlos.
Well, I would tell people who wants to animate, if they don't really have the better tools to animate, they have to work with what they have. In my case, I did the drawings by hand on paper and pencil.
Yeah, color.
And then I scan them and I color them in paint, which is the old paint from Windows.
Yes.
It was really hard for me. That's what I knew. Well, it's not that I'm telling people not to investigate or anything, but it's what I had and I worked with it, and I like how it looked. And I did the video with Movie Maker. I'm saying that, yeah, it was really difficult. I just worked with what I knew, and what I had, it was only me. I never studied anything about cinema or animation in a university. I'm really a painter and I make music with my guitar, but I really wanted to make something creative, so I worked with what I had in really hard conditions. And if anybody has this kind of trouble, just do it like that. I mean, that's my advice, really.
It's very true. Yeah, like, you know, people who think that, oh, I don't have what I need to get to start animating. That's not true. You have resources. You have the ability, and if you just got the passion and the drive, you can make things happen. It's very true. That's an animator in all of us. I feel like everybody, we took paths in order to make what we wanted to make. So that's wonderful. Okay, well, it looks like we're running out of time, so I'm going to go ahead and for the last thing, if we could just go to each person and just tell me your social media so that people can check out your work. People can check out your animations as well. So let's start with Alex. If you have any.
I'll just pitch tacoelgatocomics.com. Check it out.
Awesome. And Camilo?
Well, I'm most active on Twitter. My handle is itscacalotl, although it may be a bit hard to remember. And also my animations are on YouTube. You can check them out there. My name in YouTube is, I think, Camilo El Cuervo, but I don't remember right now.
Okay, well, we'll still have all of this on the website too. But Luis?
Yeah, so I have a Facebook page where I post my art and the animation called What's New Under Tonatiuh. And I have another Facebook page, but you can find it from that one, called Rey Sol Tonatiuh, where I have, I make this urban fantasy comic set in Mexico currently. So you can find all that there, that webcomic. I have a Twitter, so you can find me there under Rey Tonatiuh. All my things are on YouTube as well. Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, Antonio, social media, where can we find your work?
Sure, you can find me. I wrote it to make it a little more.
Oh, there you go.
This is my whatever it is. Buzzbo, B-U-E-Z-E-O. I publish animation and I also have some web games, which I post on Newgrounds. You can find me also on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. So so just take a look.
That's right. Buzzbo has a fully hand-drawn animated video game about a little dinosaur. Really good. I played it. John, where can we find you?
Yeah, you can find my work at leanos.net, leanos.net, and also on Vimeo. All of my animations are up there for free and download streaming. So yeah, I look forward to seeing all your work.
Awesome. Candy?
Sorry. Yeah, you could find my stuff at tacoelgatocomics.com, like Alex said, or right here. I have YouTube, Instagram, DeviantArt, Facebook, and Twitter.
Wonderful. Awesome. And how about Oscar?
A good place to start is Twitter, at 5meets, 5 and meets.
5meets.com. Brian?
You can find me on Instagram as Braviera or in Twitter as Braviera1.
Awesome. And Carlos?
Well, you can. I did the same as Antonio because it's very hard to say this. It's a indigenous word. It's Mahenja in Instagram. There are all my music videos and animations. And Tarmahenja is the name of the kind of solo artist, musician I use for, I don't know if you're seeing it right, but
we can see it.
You can, if you search Tarmahenja in YouTube or in Spotify and all the music platforms, you can hear the music and watch the music videos. Mahenja. You search Mahenja, it's the only thing.
Wonderful. All right. Well, again, thank you everybody for this interview. It was wonderful. Just such amazing creativity all in one package here. And please, all of our viewers, please go check out their animations on the MOLA website. You're going to be completely blown out of the water by some of these animations. Thank you so much. And this was the Latino Comics Expo Worldwide.